everybody, it's Miss Austin. I'm going to be doing the lesson 9 practice problems. Sorry, my camera closed here. All right, here we go. Lesson 9, number 1, it says match each polynomial with its end behavior. So we have learned that the lead coefficient along with the degree determine the behavior. So this one right here is an odd degree because it's a 1 with a negative number. That means the ends are going in opposite directions, and it's up over here and down over here. It would be wonderful if people recognize that as, right, that's a line, y equals mx plus b. See how the ends are going in opposite directions? So let's see, as x gets larger and larger in either the positive or negative, the graph is getting larger and larger in the positive. No, this part of the graph is going into the negative. As x gets larger and larger in the positive, the graph gets larger in the positive. No. As x gets larger and larger in the positive, the graph gets larger in the negative. Yes. And then over here, as I get larger and larger in the negative, f of x gets larger and larger in the positive. Yes. So A goes to 3. This is an even with a positive number up front. So both the ends are going up like this. So no matter which way, if I get really, really big in the positive direction or in the negative direction, the graph is getting bigger in the positive direction, which is this one right here, number 1. This one is a odd degree with a positive. So the ends are going in opposite directions, but it's the other way from letter A. This end is going up, and this end is going down. Something like this. And we already did number 1. This says as x gets larger in the positive, the graph gets larger in the positive. Yes. As x gets larger in the negative, the graph gets larger in the negative. Yes, 2. And then we would just want to make sure, especially if it's a test, that we didn't mess up somewhere. So this is an even with a negative leading coefficient. So that means both the ends are going down. So if I get larger in either the positive or negative direction, my graph is getting larger in the negative. So yes, we did it right. All right, number 2, state the degree in end behavior. Explain or show your reasoning. So this is an odd with a negative lead coefficient. So I know it looks something like this. So the degree is 3. So as x gets larger in the positive direction, f of x gets larger in the negative direction, right? When I come over here, the graph's going down. And then if I go the other way, as x gets larger in the negative direction, f of x gets larger in the positive direction. All right, moving on. Number 3. The graph of a polynomial function f is shown. Select all true statements about the polynomial. A, the degree is even. Evens, the ends go the same way. These ends are going in opposite directions. So no. The degree is odd. True, the ends are going in opposite directions. The leading coefficient is positive. If it's going up to the right, that means the bigger and bigger number I put in is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, positive, because the leading coefficient is positive. Not negative. If the number in front of, let's just say this was x to the third. If this was a negative number, imagine if I put 1,000 in there, that's going to be a really big number. But if I multiply that really big number by -2, then the graph would be down here, not up here. The constant term is positive. The constant ends up being the y-intercept. So the constant, you can see it right here, is definitely a positive number, definitely not a negative. Number 4, the sum. All you're supposed to do is add these together, add like terms. I see both of those are x squared. That would make 7x squared. There's no other x over here, so he'll just stay 2x. You have -10 and +6 makes -4. State the degree and end behavior. Okay, scanning. Look, it's odd with a positive. So it's like this. Now, I do this, I'm just circling the ends. I'm not claiming to be sketching what happens in the middle. It could be, making something like this or all kinds of craziness. I just claim to know right now that it's going up over here and down over here. So the degree is 5. And so as x gets larger in the positive direction, f of x gets larger in the positive direction. The graph is heading up. And then as x gets larger in the negative direction, f of x gets larger in the negative direction. A lot of writing. Okay, that was number 5. Moving on. Number 6. These are all in factored form, and they want me to select the graph that has x-intercepts. That means where it's touching, right? And what we learned a few lessons ago as whatever makes these factors equal to 0 is where the x-intercepts are. And I might propose that I just go backwards. This question was actually on the quiz. If it has an intercept at x equals +4, that means I had a -4 in here. I'm going to hold off on this one for a minute. If it says -2, then that must have been a +2. Now this one's a little tricky, right? So I'm going to do a little work over here. You are not going to see it written like this, right? I mean, it is going to be the opposite. How do you end up with a fraction? Because this was in front of this. So this was actually 4x plus 1. Think about that. If that was what was in the parenthesis and you were trying to figure out like, oh, what makes that 0? You would subtract 1 from both sides and you would divide by 4. Oh, now you can see that it has an intercept at -1/4. But that's what it would look like in its factored form. So now we just have to go over here and find this one. I got the -4, 4x plus 1. There it is. You could have done it the other way. You could have looked at each of these until you found which match. I think that's it. I hope that helped, and I'll see you soon.